All right, boys and girls, welcome, welcome, welcome. 7:25, about 5 minutes to market open on Friday, February 6th. And so I marked out areas of liquidity on the on both tickers, Nasdaq and S&P. And right now I'm showing, excuse me, the 1 hour time frame. I'm noticing a pretty distinct fair value gap right here that we could be testing in the opening moments of market. Overall, I would say my bias is going to be pretty bullish, um, provided we just make a small market manipulation, probably down into this area of liquidity here and this area of liquidity here, and then maybe a push into this fair value gap on both tickers. If it inverses the fair value gap, then obviously we're going to switch to a bearish bias. But I'm really thinking that we're probably going to be testing this first because we also have what basically amounts to um, a good mark on equilibrium here. So if we do this with the mark on equilibrium, you can see that equilibrium on this move right here falls right into that fair value gap. So we could very well see our initial push at market open dip down into that, and then from there make its move upward. That would also be the same for right here as well. If I take this one here on NASDAQ, I'm really not sure which one I'm going to bias to trade. I saw a slight SMT divergence on the 1 hour. I'll show that to you in a second here. So right there, you can see equilibrium. It dips right into that value gap. Equilibrium's right there. They're both about in the same place too. The value gap sits right at equilibrium, but the majority of that value gap sits above up into the premium area. So we could very well see a pretty severe dip into that fair value gap and maybe even see it pass through just a little bit before we see that turn back up. So I think I'm going to sit pretty tight on this. I don't know if I'm going to take any scalps coming out of market open, just because I've got a few accounts now that I've blown through that I just don't want to take any unnecessary risks on, trying to take advantage of some quick bucks, but we'll see what happens here. We can already see that we're getting a SMT divergence on the 1 hour. This is what I was talking about here, right in this section right here. If I spread this out a little bit, you'll see that we have a move from low to higher here. We are going to get lower highs, but here we're going to get lower lows. So, um, initially the move could be down into the fair value gap and then up. That's kind of where I'm leaning with this because we're already starting to test this area of liquidity right here on the Nasdaq, whereas we're not doing it with the S&P. So the S&P is going to be the lead on this. Nasdaq is going to be the Nasdaq is going to be the follow, and we'll just see if my assumptions are correct. Like I said, I'm going to take my time on this one. I'm going to look for a good clean entry. This is more about process now than trying to get any real profit, even though I am working with trying to qualify a prop firm. I think really process is what's going to pay off in the long term, and that's where we need to go with this. So that's what's happening right here. I'm going to go back to the 5 minute at this point, and you can see here as I move back to the 5 minute that on both tickers. There we go. You can begin to see the divergence now from this point right here, that this is now dipping as a low, whereas this is dipping as a high. So we're starting now to see that as this was a downtrend moving up, downtrend moving back up a little bit. Now I am anticipating at market open, which is in about 20 seconds, we're going to get a dip down into these areas of liquidity, and we will see if we hit equilibrium and then work our way back up. So we're just going to sit tight and just watch what happens at market open and just be observers for the moment. Okay, NASDAQ definitely making a solid move to sweep that first 1 hour area of liquidity. S&P a little slower to act on that. NASDAQ looking like it's going to start touching down into the fair value gap. We'll wait for a market manipulation to happen. You know, the other thought I had was since we had two uptrends, both from, you can see here that we've had two uptrends on the Asia market. We dipped down, we took out a bunch of low areas of liquidity on the lows here, then brought up, had some moves, but ultimately ended up toward an up move when kind of a little bit of sideways. London picked up and acted as a continuation. So there is some thought that as this moves up and moves sideways, we would then get a little manipulation. I'm thinking a continuation up eventually after a dip, but it's possible we could just take out liquidity up in here and then move back down. But for right now, things are looking more to me like we're going to test down in this area and then have a continuation moving bullish. The 4 hour and the 1 hour gave me more of an indication that that's kind of where we were looking at going. You know, the market always has a way of making you look foolish. So once you feel you're certain about something, so that's why it's always good to just get your theories together and then from there work with what price action actually gives you. So right now we have a very, very obvious SMT divergence going on. So I'm thinking this is looking very bullish at this point. We dip down into area of liquidity here, just touching into this fair value gap. So it looks like it's being respected and we're going up here. I'm going to move into the 1 minute and see if there's opportunity for a trade. Looks like we might. Okay, so moving into the 1 minute. Yep, we do. So I'm going to take a quick buy here. Okay. Pop out of that. That was just a quick scalp. I don't think that was meaningful. Not bad. Ultimately, we are going to want to get up into here. I think this is going to move up. I'm going to wait for a pullback, though. I think it wants to shoot up, but ultimately, I missed the entry primarily with the break of structure. But this one's clearly getting to New York highs, so we're looking pretty good there. I'm going to play it cautious. Like I said, I'm going to wait for a pullback. There's just not an entry here that makes me feel warm and fuzzy just yet. Move this to the 1 minute. See what we got. Okay, so there we go. That's what I needed, a little bit of a pullback. Looks like we've got some areas of liquidity there. We have a 1 minute value gap right here that it looks interesting. See if what goes on with that. Mark that out real quick. We'll see if this gets inversed, and then maybe we'll still have some energy there. If this gets respected, is a safe bet we're going to be targeting New York highs on the NASDAQ and continue to target some additional highs on the S&P. Yeah, it's still a little too early to tell. We just capped some areas of I say capped it. We just hit some areas of liquidity and now are reversing off of those. So it might just be playing around with it, but okay, I'm going to want it to come down into that fair value gap and at least test it. So we'll give this a couple of candles and see what happens. If we're good with it, there might still be a place to take a long. Okay, looks like we tested it. And we're going to see if we break above, we might have a good chance at another long here. Got some long tails looking like they might be pushing. Okay, we got a lower high, so it might just be a simple pullback. I'm going to wait this one out. We're looking pretty strong right now on both of these. I mean, depending on the different kinds of confluences and indicators you're looking for, everything's looking pretty strong. It's just resting itself right around this area of liquidity. There might be a second test into the fair value gap. S&P doesn't look like it's wanting to even get near that fair value gap at the moment. Looks like it's pretty strong. NASDAQ moving a little less aggressively. There we go. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go long. Making a push here. All right, I'm going to back out of this real quick. I think we had a pretty good thing there. I still think it's going to push to these highs, and this is going to push to these highs. But I've just got to play it a little more safe and get in and out. Still a little too volatile for me. I really need to take quicker profit when I get it and not risk too much more from there. Okay, so looks like we're definitely wanting to push toward those highs. I want to get in, but just we got another fair value gap kind of thing we're looking at here if this pushes up. So I think I'm going to sit this one out and just look for a better setup. I'm pretty sure we're moving to New York highs on the NASDAQ. It looks like we've already touched an hourly draw on liquidity, an hourly high on the S&P. So for the time being, I'm sitting tight. I just need to find a better setup right now. I've got my inclinations, but I've been stung before by this, so I'm not going to take any unnecessary chances. This could just act as another pullback for the moment. This very well could be our liquidity sweep too. And yeah, see right now we're testing that fair value gap. If we push back out of that, maybe we'll make another buy at this point. Push out of the fair value gap here, we could try again. We tested it. I really want this candle to close outside of the value gap, and then we'll be in good shape. I could take another one there. Yep, looking good. Okay. I'm gonna let that dip down, so that'd be even better. No, I'm gonna sit tight. I am going to sit tight. It's testing the value gap again. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything right now. We're definitely in an uptrend. I'm going to wait to see where this finishes. I mean, we're kind of in limbo. I think the S&P being the lead is sort of dictating where this is going because we're still floating around that secondary value gap. Okay, this is a little more. There we go. That was a very smart decision to hold out. All right, so clearly we've inversed this gap. We've inversed this gap. And it looks like this is our liquidity sweep. So at this point, now that we've swept liquidity and we're heading down, we're going to look at equilibrium and see if equilibrium takes out this. Let me move back to the 5 minute, see what the 5 minute looks like right now. Okay. All right, so we got a value gap here as well in the 5 minute that this could be dipping down into as well on a pullback. So I'm in no hurry. We've got 5 minute and equilibrium. Or I'm sorry, a value gap and equilibrium. So there's equilibrium. Value gap is right here. Here's the 1 hour fair value gap. So we've got a lot of magnetism to pull into for this price action right now. So again, I'm really not in any hurry to get into any of that. Yeah, see, we've got a large 5 minute value gap right here. And then we've got equilibrium. Provided that's a low candle. Should never make assumptions, but still, it aligns just about the same. So, oops. There we go. So we'll go back to the 1 minute. So we got a fair value gap in equilibrium, plus we got a fair value gap on the 1 minute. So we've got all kinds of other activity we could be looking at right now. I'm just not going to do anything just yet. I do not see a proper opening for anything. Good uptrend. If we break above this, I think this would be a good buy. Okay, we are pushing past there. I'm going to take a long. It's just a cheap scalp. but I think that's where we're going to push a little higher. I think we want those New York highs now that we've moved up much past there. It's got to sit tight. It's going to play around for a while. Good place to, well, there's always, you know, when you're looking at it after the fact. It's just a quick scalp. It's losing some energy, so I might pull out of this quick. Yep. It's losing some energy as it gets close. All right, I'm going to pull out, even though it's probably going to push. Yeah, see, now it pushes. That's great. But that's okay. I'm still positive on the day, and I've got my I got my daily goal in order to keep this account rolling. So yeah, it looks like we got ourselves a little bit of a pullback here into a fair value gap. Looks like it's being respected. Actually, I have two fair value gaps there. Little mini equilibrium on the 1 minute maybe before it pushes higher. I'm going to take another long here. Just a quick scalp if I can get it. I really think we're targeting those New York highs on the NASDAQ. I think that's going to be a good area of liquidity. I'm really pushing my luck here because this is not looking as good as I thought. I mean, I really thought it was going to go, but I don't know. It's just dancing around right now. So I've got some positive dollars coming out of this. We'll see. There we go. We're getting there. All right, I'm out. Extra $100. I held it long enough. It's gonna push, but I'm just not. Yeah, see, here we go. It'll probably push on this candle. Okay, I'm gonna sit and watch now because it's just it's a Friday. It's not moving quick. Not sure what else we have for any real entries or any other take profits. We got a bunch of them up here. We have these pushing here. I'm just gonna sit and watch price action. It's just a real odd place for it to be sitting around. I mean, I don't believe there's any. Yeah, there's no real obvious areas of liquidity. That the fact that it's just kind of hanging out. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Looks like we got something to got ourselves a shakeout. Shaking out some buyers before taking it up to the next level, I suppose. That would definitely knock out a few people that put their stops right there. If you had your stop down here below this 1 minute, then there's a good chance that you got shaken out of this move. All right, looks like S&P is continuing to forge ahead. Let me move to the 5 minute. See what the fiver's doing. Yeah, it's real strong on the S&P. I'm surprised I've been taking stuff on the NASDAQ. S&P has a stronger move. NASDAQ just does not want to hit those New York highs, yet S&P just really wants to go towards those London. I think they're London lows. No, they're London highs. Yeah, you got a large fair market value gap it's heading towards. All right, there we go. NASDAQ got hit. Looks like these are headed up. So I'm going to look for another entry here because this looks like it could be a strong move up. I just got to wait for some kind of pullback. Because we got really nothing in the way keeping it from going there. I believe there is a fair value gap scenario going on here. I'll have to move to the 5 minute to see it. There we go. Yeah, so we got a fair value gap scenario going right here that it's testing. Yeah, it's clearly testing this fair value gap right here. That's this one right here. I'm going to mark out the top of that gap. If it breaks through, then we could be in a good position to. We also have another fair value gap here. So I'm going to mark out. I'm going to mark out here as one potential area. And here. Okay, so yeah, testing that fair value gap. Still got a little time. Let's see if we got a fair value gap over here. I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah, and it looks like it was already tested here, and then we have another fair value gap here. So we're dropping back below the highs here. This might be as good as the liquidity sweep gets. I can see that we've barely tested this fair value gap. And we have such a surge up, we could be working on a surge down. So I'm going to let this go. We're going to see if we have a break of structure where we get a low that settles below here, and then we might be able to target something down in these fair market value gaps on a. I think for this, since I've already met the goal here, I don't really have anything more to prove, at least for today. There's nothing more I can do, just keep building it up, but I feel pretty confident where we're at with it. I am going to move to paper to test the rest of the day's opportunities. As you can see, I've been goofing around with some ideas and they did not work out well, so there's going to be some makeup to do there. But I think right now this is about training for smart trading, smart disciplined trading, training for smart disciplined trading. Okay, this is a good indicator here. So on this, I'm going to take a short on both of these. just because I see the trend line on it where it's going. And I'm going to target my take profit right here at equilibrium. And I'll put the stop loss above here. That's a good risk to reward. Take profit will be equilibrium. And stop loss will be right here, testing back at the highs. So NASDAQ's going to be a little more one-to-one, and S&P is going to be a little more not quite a 2-to-1. But I think we have ourselves a pretty strong move going on there. I think equilibrium is a good target, a good play here, because if this is a pullback, which I believe it is, I believe it's a pullback we're seeing. The pullback will test equilibrium and the fair value gap. So because we had such a strong surge up, we usually get a relatively equally surge back down. And that surge back down may correct itself. And if it does, it will correct itself, generally speaking, at the equilibrium and or fair value gap region. So if it's a smaller pullback, then obviously that would be a little different. We'll have to monitor that. But that's what I'm seeing. I'm thinking we're going to see a test of equilibrium on the 5-minute, and maybe get a move back up at this point. Because I think we've had our manipulation. I think we've had our liquidity sweep, but ultimately I still think we're in a bullish formation. But I just think right now we just need to work a pullback on this big move from this morning. Well, it looks like we're starting to get strong again. Why the NASDAQ and the S&P are really fighting each other today. Well, we got our break of structure, so it's definitely a downturn. So we're going to be in a downtrend for a little while. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a super huge long one. My guess is fair market, this fair value gap and equilibrium. That's what I'm thinking. The test is going to be right here. We're going to test the fair value gap and equilibrium. Now, where I've got my take profits is equilibrium on that move right there that was listed, that was move that came back down. So Yeah, we're coming down, testing the fair value gap again. Oh, wow. Looks like we got an SMT divergence forming. This might be a good time to get out of this. I'm going to close this one on the S&P because it doesn't look as promising. And then I'm going to, I think I'm going to go ahead and close this one because it's already dipping where I want it. Okay. So, I mean, overall, a profitable trade, not nearly the kind of move I thought that I would get out of it. I just backed out of it. I'm just looking at where the area draws on liquidity are here. We're kind of already floating in a draw on liquidity on the 5 minute right through here, maybe a little bit down in here. So you can see it dancing around till it wants to make a decision. For the S&P, it's still holding strong and it's not even getting to some of these draws down in this area. So we're looking at what effectively is an SMT divergence on this downtrend. So we're getting stuff that looks like it's moving more upward in this level or flat, whereas this one's moving down. So, okay, it looks like this one, yep. Okay, so this one did hit what would have been my original target. So that's good news. And it did get down into the fair value gap, but looks like it's going to be respected. And looks like this dipped down again as well. If we inverse that fair value gap, then we're probably going to stay in a much harder downtrend. And I think we'd be good taking a quick short to target these areas of liquidity down here. What else do we have? Well, we have the hourly fair value gap too that we could be testing. So this is actually a good target down here. If we inverse this gap, we can take advantage of a move between the inverse here and here. Still hanging out on equilibrium. All right, so we've hit equilibrium. Oh, we're on the 1 minute. Okay, so I'm going to wait for a move back up because if we've hit equilibrium, it's either going to break this fair value gap, it's going to inverse, or we're going to dip into equilibrium and then start moving back up. Actually, this equilibrium wouldn't matter at all, to tell you the truth, because it's already been taken care of. So I'm going to take these out of here. Really, it's just the fair value gaps I'm going to be concerned with at this point. We're getting a big SMT divergence here. You can see here from this low to this low, and from this low up to what's amounting to be this low. Actually, technically, it'd be this low because these are here. So there we go. There we go. Now we're getting strong. Okay, I'm going to take a long. Move my take profit to here. Move my take profit to here. Stop loss will be the break of the fair value gap. Stop loss will be, let's say, these draws on liquidity right here. I might have gotten fooled, but we'll see. Yep, I'm going to get taken out, I think. Yeah, I got shaken out. There we go. Okay. Fair value gap's going to be inversed, and if it is, I'm going to go ahead and take that position then. Okay. All right, that got taken out. All right, so this is definitely going to be a sell. And take profit is going to be, let's put it right here. And I'll put the stop above this high. And actually, I'm going to target this right here. Okay. This market just insists on proving me a fool. I can make money with a prop account, but paper is killing me. Hmm. Looks like we're going to get a break of structure here. Yep. I'm going to get stopped out again. Crazy. There we go. Stopped out again. Good Lord. Well, now I'm just chasing, so. I mean, my bias is bullish, so I'm going to put it right where I think the bullish would be. All right. That's me chasing a trend right there. Hmm. Unbelievable. Wow. I'm going to get stopped out yet again.
turn the light on anyway.
Yeah, it worked fine.
I wouldn't be turning it on until it all dried out, like maybe a couple days.
It's dry.
Okay. I was thinking we should have, in the garage where it slopes and it's at its lowest point.
All right, boys and girls. Looks like we have a good trade in progress here, but I have run out of time to hang out with y'all and see this all the way through. So I'll just manage the rest of this in the background and catch up with you all tomorrow so I can take care of the rest of my daily things. All right, y'all. Yeah, have a good one.